My sister-in-law, Karen's sister, invaded my space during a visit, saying nasty words about me and my wife. Later, she calls demanding that I apologize to reset the scenario. As a soldier in the United States Army, my routine is intense, with 24-hour team duty to ensure unrelenting security. Upon arriving home, exhausted after a long period without sleep, my sister informs me that she intends to fly to me. My wife faced problems with subpar roommates and a landlord threatening eviction. In the midst of these challenges, we decided to shelter my sister in our temporary apartment. Although it wasn't ideal, it was what we had. The building, unfortunately, was unsanitary, with cockroaches coming from the neighbors. The night my sister arrived, we planned to watch the new Harry Potter movie. We bought tickets, including one for her. However, she disdains the idea, complains of tiredness, and decides to take a nap. Even considering the jet lag, we provided an air mattress for her to rest. The next morning, my sister wakes up early, revealing previously undiscussed plans. After a 24-hour shift, I try to explain my need for rest, but she pressures us to continue with her plans. Finally, she agrees to let me sleep, but when I wake up, I realize that she has already changed her plans. Bathing and getting ready, I show my sister the military location. Despite attempts at reconciliation, the situation becomes increasingly challenging, mixing physical and emotional fatigue. The hope is that, over time, we will be able to resolve conflicts and find a balance to preserve family harmony. I also needed to perform a task and asked her to take a look at the neighboring bases. We went out to get something to eat, and at least she paid for her own meal around noon. I informed my sister that she needed to go home for a few hours to rest and help my wife pack. Honestly, I thank my amazing wife as she works really hard and has done a lot of things around the apartment. My sister was immediately upset, mentioning that she wanted to get a matching tattoo with me. I explained that my wife needed help around the house and that we, as a couple, tried to do everything together. My sister got angry and threatened to tell Grandma and Grandpa that we live in a filthy house and that my wife is lazy. It's worth mentioning that we were in the middle of a move and she visited us unexpectedly. Agreeing to resolve the situation, I went home to inform my wife. After hearing complaints about tattoos all day, my wife agreed to take a nap while I went to the tattoo shop with my sister. She chose the design and colors, and the tattoo was done. When we got home, I hugged my wife, but my sister insisted on going to the beach, even though I explained my need for rest. My normally calm wife exploded and defended my exhaustion, explaining that I had worked 24 hours and only slept 4 before picking her up at the airport. She suggested that my sister go to the living room to watch TV, as I was exhausted. My sister, out of options, agreed. A few hours later, we were arguing about what to do next, as I'm a homebody and wasn't sure which way to go. And honestly, between us, a small argument occurred. It wasn't loud, but enough to get my roommate's attention. They knocked on the door, saying that my sister had left the apartment without telling anyone. I collapsed down the stairs, as our elevators were slow, traveling about 4 miles to find her crying on the sidewalk near a hospital. She said she didn't want to be the reason my wife and I didn't feel welcome. I comforted her by assuring her that we had been out all day doing a lot and had a surprise for her. I managed to convince her to return to the building, but she refused to enter our apartment. I'm normally calm, but I was on the verge of madness. I ran upstairs to convince my wife to persuade my sister to come home. Finally, she returned to the apartment. 30 minutes later, everyone was getting ready to go out and have a nice evening together. However, my sister was on the balcony again, trying to blame me for her terrible moment, claiming that she couldn't do anything she wanted, even though we had done everything to her liking. Even though I was reluctant to go to the bar with us, I ended up revealing the destination so she could get ready. At the bar, while everyone was having fun, she repeatedly sent the same drink back, annoying the waitress. In the end, she had a terrible experience, was upset, and let us pay for her drinks. She told my wife that as a guest she should not pay for her drinks. To make matters worse, during our stay at the bar, our car was towed. We lost the car, and my sister-in-law simply took an Uber to the airport, flying home early. Even though he offered to help her recover the car and take her to the airport, she chose to leave. After all the turmoil, I didn't hear from her for a long time, until about 4 days ago. Out of imprudence, I asked for marriage advice on Facebook, venting about various situations in my life. My sister not only exposed my situation on social media, but she also uttered nasty words about me, my wife, and threatened my wife along with her sister-in-law and some of my family members from the wife's side. As a result, I blocked her, hoping that this would be the end of hostilities, but unfortunately, my sister is not done yet, and guess what I have to face now at work? I receive a message from my brother-in-law requesting a telephone conversation. I agree, and, to my surprise, the person who answers is not him, but my own sister. She starts by apologizing for the fact that I called her wife with nasty comments online. I emphasize that I did not threaten anyone, as evidenced by the screenshots I sent to my wife. The situation gets complicated with her blaming me for small problems and ruining my trip, including refusing to take me to the airport. I interrupt her, demanding a sincere apology. I consider it absurd that she, as hostess, does not respect the rules and causes emotional stress to my family. At that point, I decide to cut her off and will only take her back when I'm ready for a genuine apology. I find it surreal that she, her husband and wife, would expect me, a family member, to travel to visit them on their military base, only to act as if I were the intruder. When you are in someone's home, it is crucial to respect the rules and act courteously. As for the demon child story, I remember an incident from many years ago when I was 11 or 12 years old. I was part of an active group of friends in the neighborhood, and we all used to play outside. A friend's younger sister, whom we considered part of the family, owned a cat. Another child, known for his difficult temper and threatening attitude, used to play with us but began to misbehave. One day, when we went to a nearby park, we discovered that he was abusing his younger sister's cat with his air rifle, while his mother ignored the situation. Faced with this horrific scenario, I decided to confront the troubled boy. Even though I was bigger and heavier, I trusted the judo skills I acquired. I believed it was necessary to intervene to protect the animal and, at the same time, question the mother's lack of responsibility for what happened. I immediately lunged towards him, having no intention of confronting him as he held his air rifle. I promptly disarmed him, throwing the rifle aside, and dropped him to the ground. This was the brat who started screaming for his mother while I was controlling him with judo techniques in one of the less dangerous holes. The mother, unsurprisingly, ran towards me, screaming uncontrollably. I pulled the boy to his feet, hoping to explain that he was mistreating a poor cat, but instead he attacked me again. This time, I didn't hesitate to fight back, throwing several punches. After a counterattack, he grabbed the compressed air rifle my friend was holding. I grabbed him in a chokehold, keeping him under control, while my abusive mother insisted that I was hurting her son. Even faced with this ironic situation, she was not willing to intervene to protect her own son. Courageously, I questioned what evidence she had against me. Her vague response and threat to call the police left me apprehensive. Even though he was just a child at the time, I released the boy, retaining the rifle. I asked how she would justify the evidence of her son's appalling behavior toward the cat. It was at that moment that she made a mistake, and she slapped me. Instead of fighting back, we opted for a more cunning strategy. We grabbed the cat and started running back home. Some friends ran to inform my parents, who arrived furious. The discussion ended with photos of my bruised cheek, a first aid kit, and a promise to report it to the police. The slap she gave me resulted in minor physical pain, but it scratched and broke the skin on my cheek, causing a lot of bleeding. The story culminated in the mother being taken to the police, and my parents filing a complaint. Unfortunately, the cat passed away a year later, but lived happily until his departure. It is absurd that the father did nothing to stop his son from harming the animal. Despite feeling some sadness that the brat got away with it, justice was served to the mother who blindly defended him. I'm facing a confusing situation regarding my new crush, who also seems to have some interest in me. I met this guy about a month ago, and our conversations started about a week and a half ago, during a class. From the beginning, we noticed an instant affinity, both being creative. After we agreed to exchange our Instagram profiles, he sent me his a few hours later, and we began communicating intensely the following night. We planned to study together 3 or 4 days later, but strangely, we barely talked during that time. However, when we met, the dynamic was natural and filled with romantic tension. We had lunch together, deepened our conversations, and even spent time in the park, feeling an intense connection as we looked into each other's eyes. However, in recent interactions, I have noticed a subtle change. Although we shared laughs and childhood jokes, the flirtatious atmosphere subsided. I'm confused, because I feel a strong interest in him, but his messages seem more dry, and he doesn't express many compliments, unlike me. Despite having initiated contact, there is uncertainty about his real interest. Although my intuition points to romantic potential, the fear arises that my interest is greater than his. He didn't return my compliments in kind, which made me a little uncomfortable. I want to suggest a way out, something like having a drink after a study session next week, but I'm afraid it's too soon. My friends warn about lack of tact and advise waiting to see if he takes the initiative. However, we are both single and interested in a relationship. I'm not sure if a week and a half or 2 weeks is too fast in the dating world. I feel like romance has been the elephant in the room the times we've met, and perhaps it would be beneficial to address this issue, even if it means possible rejection. I'm torn about whether I should directly address the issue or continue dating him. I would like to hear his opinion. Maybe I should make the first move, since I'm obviously interested. Sometimes people can be nervous to make the first move, and I'll only find out the truth if I say something. What do you think? Should I take the risk and talk to him, or would it be better to keep leaving and wait? So, avoid saying something impulsive that could create regrets later. Honestly, there is no right or wrong time to deal with this. This is your life now, live it honestly and without excuses. Just move on and see what happens, you might be surprised. He might be interested in you too. Recently, I have been facing a delicate situation in the United States, where I live with my 2.5-year-old daughter, the result of my past relationship. My ex-girlfriend recently cheated on me, but despite this, we are both determined to maintain an amicable relationship, especially considering the difficulties of my parents' divorce, which impacted my sister and me. However, what complicates this situation is my ex's mother, who has always hated me. She tried to bribe my daughter to say things like, "Daddy hurt me" and "Daddy slapped me." I am dealing with this betrayal without becoming childish by maintaining constant communication with my ex. Upon reporting this manipulation to my ex, she agreed that it is a big problem and promised to address the situation with her mother. However, her mother persisted in this behavior, trying again to get my daughter to claim that I hurt her. My daughter, however, refused and revealed that her grandmother tried to influence her in exchange for toys. I am taking this situation seriously, but I fear that my ex's mother, being a domineering narcissist, could manipulate the situation. A friend suggested that I needed a lawyer immediately. Additionally, I am considering taking my daughter to the doctor to ensure she has not suffered any harm. This story is surreal, but, as a friend said, the need for a lawyer is urgent. This behavior is not normal, and it is crucial to protect the daughter involved. I hope that a lawyer's intervention will help rectify this situation and put my ex's mother in her rightful place. It's comforting to see that both my ex and I are working together to protect our daughter, without siding with her mother. Because this behavior is not typical, and she has no connection with that boy. My girlfriend admitted that she has feelings for another man after I took a look at her phone and found out. Well, that's how it all happened, and it's hard for me to try to understand. We've been together for 10 months, lived under the same roof for 3 months, and she's interested and in love with another coworker. I discovered this by chance when I checked her phone and found an Instagram conversation with a guy, containing only one message that said "You're awake." This notification was also silenced. As I investigated further, I discovered that she was searching for things like how to impress her crush and the like. One convincing point was the fact that I was able to see deleted screenshots of his Instagram profile sharing photos of him with her best friends. When I confronted her about this, she was initially hesitant and was unable to offer an adequate explanation. As I showed her everything I had discovered, she agreed that she is interested in this guy and has recently started talking to him. She has stated that she still loves me, but right now, if I ask her to stop talking to this person, she won't be able to do so. She needs more time to communicate and find out more about this man in order to make a more informed decision about what she wants. She says she doesn't know what to do right now, and in light of that, I gave her an ultimatum, him or me. She asked for more time, at least until tomorrow, to think about it. I just can't understand how to get around this situation. I still love her, and it's painful to realize that I was planning my future with her in mind. What should I do? If she really needs time to think, maybe this is the answer. Obviously, I'm not a priority in her life. so why should I bother trying to force my way in? Honestly, it's not about him. No matter what she says tomorrow, it's not about him. It's really disturbing, and if I were in her shoes, I almost wish she would choose the other guy. It's difficult because we've been together for 10 months, we've lived together for 3, but she's clearly not ready for a serious relationship and doesn't seem to want that at all. Honestly, I would even hesitate if she ended up choosing this guy, because who can guarantee that she won't do it again? Thanks for listening. Subscribe and activate the bell to receive notifications. Keep listening to more stories using the playlist at the top of the description. Today we explore a moving story shared by a Reddit user on the Reddit channel. We found out that his girlfriend confessed to having feelings for another man after an accidental phone investigation. The situation has become complex, with compromising research and revealing messages. Faced with an ultimatum, the girlfriend asked for more time to decide between him and the other boy. The story raises questions about trust, priorities, and the pain of realizing that perhaps you are not the priority in your girlfriend's life. Share your opinions in the comments, subscribe to the Reddit channel, leave a like if the story intrigued you, and activate the bell to receive notifications of future engaging narratives. Keep following more fascinating stories in the playlist available in the description.